Hello, good evening, welcome to this evening's UKBBL Premiership night. I'm here as usual with Andy Davo, bringing you some feature matches from the UKBBL this evening. Welcome to everyone that's joining us at the moment. It's good to have you with us. Andy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. I'm as I was saying to you just before we came on to air this evening. It's a bit of a funny one this season because I'm in mid-table obscurity, not at risk of going down, and not really in the playoff hunt. So, interesting night has been, or an interesting season. I've had a couple of disappointing results. I've only lost twice, but I've drawn far too many. And the two teams that I have lost to this season are first and second in Prem West this season. So, if you're going to lose to two teams, it should be those two big boys. So Errant and Hon, who do look like they're going to be the representatives from Prem West going into the playoffs this season. But nevertheless, how's your week been in the UKBBL League? You've had to play your game about 4 times, haven't you?
Yes, and that's not even an exaggeration. Stewie and I have actually played 4 times. Sadly, we discovered that playing on an iPad halfway up a mountain in the middle of nowhere is not conducive to good Blood Bowl, and unfortunately it fell over on his side. So after the 4th try we called it, and it was admin, unfortunately.
Well, is it unfortunate? That's probably the result you wanted, but Ugg Draw, as he's well known, didn't manage to do you any favours. So one of the matches that we're going to be picking up this evening is a game that affects your chances of playoff success this season. Do you want to talk to us about that?
The specific game or the Ugnash game?
Well, both, because they both affect your chances.
Well, I think Ugnash is possibly looking at getting himself relegated, which would be nice for Altdorf West next season, won't it?
Wow.
I mean, seriously though, let's just talk about Ugnash for a moment. Right, so he's played 9 games, and his stat line is 1-6-2. That's 1 win, 6 draws and 2 losses. Now, you'd think, okay, he's won a game, that's not too bad, but that game was the dead rubber that everyone got the free win. So actually, he's 0-6-2. He hasn't managed to win this season. Not one win. Not a win. That's not Premiership material, is it, really? That's just not. So, sadly, we'll be waving goodbye to Ugdraw this season.
You're not sorry. You're not sorry to see him go at all, and you know it. Viewers, the match that you're viewing on the screen at the moment is something from Tier 4. We're waiting for the Premiership matches to begin this season between a Necromantic and a Lizardman team from Tier 4. So that's on your screens while Andy and I just talk a little bit about Andy's outside chances. Is it outside chances of qualifying for the playoffs this season?
Well, if you'd have asked me that before last night, last night's results came in, I would have been sat here feeling quite confident, actually. I would only be 3 points behind top with 2 to play, and top are going to probably lose next week, so I suspect my good friend Zunk will do me a big favour and will beat Black Stabbing Black Orcs next week, which, if I can win my game that week, will cut the difference to 3 points as it is now, or would have meant that I was top going into the final game. So I was actually thinking, although I'm a little bit off the top, I thought I could win the division. I suspect that unfortunately as Ugnash threw it away again and allowed the Orcs to win, I suspect that I think Jacob is going to be the first coach in history to win the 2 biggest leagues online in the same season, which is OCC and UKBBL.
Well, he doesn't win the season until he's actually won the playoffs. So, because let's not forget, we have 2 conferences, and there is a sizable Nurgle team in his way who love a good match against Orcs, as I found out, despite being 2-0 up a couple of weeks ago. The matches I was saying that you can see on your screens at the moment, viewers, is Hydriatis' Lizards against Sminty's Nurgles from Allterm Forest East. Sminty's, the Nurgle coach here, is a former UKBBL champion. He is the one and only coach to have won the UKBBL with Wood Elves. But Andy, there are some rumours that that's something that you might be considering doing something about. silence.
Sorry, I was just yawning there, and that's not because I was actually bored, but it's because I literally was tired. It is actually, and since you brought Wood Elves up, the reason I'm interested in possibly switching is because I've just started a Wood Elf team in Big Crunch, and they are 501, which is quite nice. And one of the War Dancers levelled up, and his first skill was a agility roll, and the second skill up was also an agility roll. And the question there is, do you want an agility 6 War Dancer?
Well, I'm sure you have an opinion about that. I think it's great on a thrower. How good is it on a War Dancer? Do you need agility 6? The leap, you don't need it. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I assume you haven't taken the agility yet.
No,
You're mulling.
I haven't actually taken it. No, I have. I've mulled. Before we talk about what skill I did take, the other War Dancer rolled a double on her first skill, so she got guard. I know that's moving away from the standard mighty blow, but I went guard. And the second roll was another agility, so both War Dancers were level agility 5.
Wow.
And then, yeah, it was shit. I couldn't believe my misfortune.
It's tragic.
So, I know. So, I actually took strip ball as the skill. So I've got an agility 5 strip ball, and I've got an agility 5 guard. Sadly, the next two coaches I've got no sure hands and no dodge.
No sure hands.
So I suspect I might be sneaking off with it a few times.
That brings us back to your UKBBL match this week. Actually, 3 out of the 4 match times you attempted this game this week, it wasn't going terribly well, was it? Are you yawning again?
I was actually. Sorry, I'm going to go and grab a cup of coffee, I think, before we start commentating. That's shocking. What was the question again?
This week in your UKBBL match, the lack of sure hands from your Chaos team actually proved problematic, because from my understanding, 3 out of the 4 games, Stu DDJ, without putting too fine a point on it, had done you.
Well, that's it is an interesting way of describing it, and it's possibly not the way I would have looked at it. But in game 1, he had knocked the ball out of my hands, obviously. I'd picked it up and had thrown it to a catcher, and I had the ability to blitz that catcher back down again, and then it fell over. So yes, he'd stolen, and it was not certainly as secure as I'd want. It was in his favour, I think I would say. The second was definitely in his favour. He'd stolen the ball and had scored and broke my offence. However, I'd crushed his team. So it was an interesting one, because I think we'd only about 6 elves left. The third one, he didn't steal the ball, and I was crushing elves and stomping them. So that's 1-1-1, I would possibly say there. And then on the 4th attempt, it was a little bit nip and tuck. We both scored on each other's drive and on our own respective drives, and Stewie just still had the wizard in hand. So don't know about the 4th one. That was probably the closest.
Okay. Devious, in answer to your question, why are we watching the basement? The Premiership matches tonight are due to start a little bit later. The Prem West match may or may not go ahead, depending on Errant and Strangelove's ability to actually sort something out. The Alex Archer versus St Cloud, which is the feature match this evening, is actually a 9 o'clock kickoff, which we're going to be picking up in about 45 minutes. So, Andy, looking at these two teams, obviously, have you played them both this season? You haven't, have you? You haven't played St
I've played
Cloud
Alex.
Yet? Yeah.
No, St Cloud is my next opponent, so it'd be quite nice if Alex can break a Saurus. I don't think he will, but it'd be nice if one just sort of crumbled.
Well, you never know. There's always the chance of a wizard, of course.
Well, yes, it's true. This is true. I don't think he'll be lightning bolting any Sauruses anytime soon, but you never know. And Alex might break a 6-season duck of fouling someone. He just might slip. Hopefully misclick, to be honest.
I'm not sure I have ever seen Alex Archer throw a foul unless he has a bribe, and even then it's a thing of rarity. Okay, so looking at St Cloud's team, I'm just going to bring it up on screen in just a moment, viewers, just to pull us away from this Tier 4 match that we have in front of us. It's a bit of a scrabble on the halfway line at the moment. The skink here, this fairly talented skink. How is it every Lizardman team has a plus movement skink? I don't know. And this one, they all seem to have block skinks as well. It's quite ludicrous. But I am going to bring up on the screen St Cloud's team in just a moment. Go on, Andy, you were saying?
I think that the reason they've got they all have a superstar skink is because they all die so often, and so you effectively, it's like cycling elves. You get a lot of them, and I think lizard teams are really boring. So you've got to have something interesting, otherwise you're just going to re-roll them. So only the interesting ones survive.
Don't hold back now. Say what you think. Always there, always fast. Always fast. You want the grid up? Really? Really? You want the grid? Wow. Okay. There we go. Wowzer. I have to admit, I'm not one of these players that actually plays with the grid on. I never play with the grid on in Blood Bowl 1, which is probably why I found the transition to Blood Bowl 2 much easier. There you go. I've put it on just for you, Mr. RTST. Wow. Well, we'll be talking about Blood Bowl 2 later, Andy, and the probability that you'll be playing in the next tournament, because your narcissism dictates you must. But there you go. We'll come to that later in the show. Like I was saying, I'm just going to be bringing up with the screen on the screen now. We can see, there we go. There's St Cloud's team. So, Andy, do you have St Cloud's roster in front of you? You will do momentarily.
I do indeed.
Here we go. Right, so talk us through this team. Who are the key players? And if you could choose 2 players to be missing next week, who would they be?
Well, the superstar annoying skink, possibly. Although, saying that, that's 200 TV. It's not very threatening, it's just annoying, which is the movement 9 Agi 4 one.
You're talking about Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I'm only going to pick one. If I could pick one player to get rid of, I'm going to I'm going to put it in the chat. So don't look in the chat just for a second, because I bet you cannot guess which player I dislike the most. Yeah, let me just see if I can put it in there.
Okay, so I'm not looking at the stream. Okay, so block, break, tackle, mighty blow, guard, serious hit. And you don't really care about him. Strength 5. Okay. Dodge, block, break, tackle. No, that'll be okay. I don't think you're worried about any of these. God, he's got quite a few decent players in this team, hasn't he? Okay. Is it Lizzie Taylor?
Are you talking about me?
Lizzie Taylor, the skink.
No, I knew you wouldn't guess it.
Oh, the Croxagle.
Do you know why I'm bothered about the Croxagle?
Why is that?
Because the Croxagle is the player that might win in the game. And the reason behind that is because it's got a skill which no other player on that team has got, and that is Juggernaut. And I've got enough stand firm that he can't natural 1-turn me. He has to use Juggernaut. No, not Tail, Juggernaut. So if he can't naturally 1-turn me, the score is going to be a draw at best. He's got Loner. That's you, Devious. You have that skill. Be quiet. And I'm not fussed. I don't think he can break me without a wizard. And I think I might be able to break him. So, no, I don't want him scoring one-turners on me. It is the Croxigore. That will be the piece I want to get rid of. That will be the piece we'll be targeting.
So that's the Queen Lizzie the First. Loads of Lizzies. Croxigore. I was listening to podcast 3 Die Block. Well worth a listen for those of you that are interested in your Blood Bowl. 3 Die Block, the podcast. I actually really enjoy it. It's probably my favourite podcast that I regularly listen to. But they were talking about the best big guys in the game, and Croxigore was actually in third place. It was the one that was voted in third place. So there you go. So in this tier 4 match that we've got on screen here, I tell a lie, I didn't actually even pick up the Sminties match. It wasn't even a Nurgle match, but it's 1-0 to the Undead team. So, but in third place was the Croxigore. Can you think what the number one big guy was, or in your opinion, Andy, what is the best big guy in the game? Because you're not a fan of big guys on a whole, are you?
I'm not actually. As a general rule, I won't play with any of them. But that's because I like my 11 players to actually do as they're told at all times. Now, that's a difficult question, because if you're talking about what is just generically the best, in as much as that a team can't play without it. So a Wood Elf team probably plays with its Treeman, or a Nurgle team will play with its Beast of Nurgle, whereas a Chaos team might not play without the Minotaur. But is a Minotaur intrinsically better than a Beast of Nurgle or a Treeman? It has possibly better skill access. It's a better player if you take it on its own. I'd rather have a Minotaur than a Beast of Nurgle. So it depends on how you define it.
Well, I think it would have to be based on what the big guy brings to the team overall.
Like a troll for an orc team. It's very rare you see an orc team without a troll, but it does happen. I don't like anything that goes stupid and completely just fails. So Bonehead is a bad one. Really Stupid is a bad one. I'd rather have one of those two. Yeah, I would rather have Wild Animal over that as a characteristic. So for me, I don't like Croxigores. However, they are critical to a lizard team. So this is the problem with them. I think they're all fairly balanced. It's what flavour of shit do you want served with your half decent player?
What about the Bloodthirster? Throwing that in there for a Khorne team. A lot of people say that the Khorne team is all about the Bloodthirster.
And I agree. I think it is. If you take possibly the most successful Khorne team that has been in a large long-term format league, and the largest league is OCC. The coach who's done the best with that team is a coach called Gusaya, or it's Gusya, I think it's spelt. And he doesn't play with one. He's never played with one, pretty much, and he comes close to winning the whole of the OCC. So, does that say that it's not required?
I'm sure you can probably find examples of that all over the place.
Most chaos teams don't play with one.
No, that's just true. And it's just, I mean, at the end of the day, the Bloodthirster is, or I suppose the other way to look at it is a Minotaur is just a shit Bloodthirster.
Yeah, that's true. Although I think a Minotaur is cheaper, slightly.
Right. Okay, so Andy, Blood Bowl 2. Be nice, no swearing. Whether you like, we've got a sending off in the match. Whether you like it or not, it is proving popular. We have in the last couple of weeks seen an explosion in applicants to the UKBBL to play in our test Blood Bowl 2 league. It's not even an official league at the moment, or an official division. It's just our test league. That must mean... Oh, that's unfortunate. That must mean that Cyanide are doing something correctly. Now...
no, let me answer that question. I think what that means is a lot of people who played Blood Bowl 1, or a lot of new people have gone, oh, new shiny, and Blood Bowl 2 has one selling point for me, and that is it looks fantastic. It does look great, and if you know nothing about the game, or you know nothing about the two games, which one are you going to play? You're going to play Blood Bowl 2. Unfortunately, it's like gold leaf. You make any scratch anywhere on it, and it's just crap metal, cheap metal underneath. And Blood Bowl 1 has its failings, but Blood Bowl 2 has too many failings at the moment.
We have had this week, because obviously we've got season 24 coming up, the UKBBL season 24. We're in week 9. I've got 2 matches to go for the rest of this season. You've got 2 matches to go, Andy, as well. So we have put up the re-rolling threads, and we have already had a couple of coaches say, I'm not playing in the main league this season, I'm focusing on Blood Bowl 2, or I'd rather play in the Blood Bowl 2 league. So they're dropping out of our main league now to play in Blood Bowl 2. What would you say to those people if you had them here in front of you right now?
I would genuinely ask them why. Because one of the things that makes Blood Bowl 1 so interesting is the variety of teams. We've got 24 teams. Blood Bowl 2, you've got 8. So setting aside the mountain of bugs and the problems and the unbalance and everything else, why would you only want to play with 8 teams when you've got 24?
Interesting.
That would be my start point. Cyanide have seemingly made no announcement over releasing new teams, which would suggest that what they're going to do is they're going to do exactly the same thing as they did with Legendary Edition and then Chaos Edition, which will be you're stuck with those races until they re-release the game again. And they might be through DLC, which is what they've done with Dungeon Bowl, or they might do the Legendary Edition and sell you the game again. Which means that I've very little interest in playing only 8 teams. I don't want to play 8 teams in a main league. That's boring.
Okay. Which moves us on to something that is going to be announced officially relatively soon. But people,
is this a scoop?
Well, there has been mumblings about the forthcoming Blood Bowl World Cup. A few of the leagues have started announcing they're all set for their qualification tournament. But in the next couple of weeks we're going to see some announcements from the powers that be about the Blood Bowl World Cup, which is every 4 years. We did do it 4 years ago. It was run by Alex82, and we ran... There were 50 entrants from the UKBBL, and it's open to anyone. Well, Davis, I'll answer that question in just a second, but it's not £8 because the DLC model's already there, because they've been doing it on Xbox, PlayStation as well, which is cheaper than at £8 a pop. I think it's something like £5, but that can actually be checked, find out what they're actually charging at. But yeah, we ran it 4 years ago. 4 years on, it's the next World Cup. I actually received a PM today from one of the other senior head honchos that's been in the background of the Cyanide Focus discussions at the moment, about what the UKBBL's plans were for the forthcoming World Cup, and the answer is I don't know yet, because the meeting about it for the people that are going to have to run it and organise it is on Thursday this week. So we shall be coming along shortly. If you do want to find out some rule sets, I know that the Goblin League, do have their rule set up already, for those of you that play in Goblin, so which may not be many of you from the UKBBL, but there are some rule things out there for various people. Right. So Andy, with that news, are you going to play in the World Cup to be the best in the world?
The best on cyanide. Why can't it just be in Blood Bowl 1? Honestly, why? So in Blood Bowl 1 I'll be there in a heartbeat. In Blood Bowl 2...
Hang on, whoa. In Blood Bowl 2, right, we've had this conversation already once, Andy, but in Blood Bowl 2, which of the races that you'd ever actually play in a open tournament are not represented, Andy? Really?
I love ogres. I don't know what you're talking about. I love them.
Yeah. I can't even talk to you sometimes. I really can't.
Well, if you can't take me seriously, no. It's not that there aren't the races I would want to play. Yeah, I like Wood Elves, I like Dark Elves, I like Orcs, I like Chaos. I'm not sure I'd take Chaos to a tournament like that, but yeah, it's normally a flavour of Elf, and Woodies and Darkies are probably up there. Amazons would be something I'd be interested in. They're not there. Some would say that's a good thing, but it's just no variety. I don't know what matchmaking's like on Blood Bowl 2, but it must be really interesting playing the same 3 races over and over and over and over and over.
Well, to be honest, the matchmaking in Blood Bowl 2 is exactly the same as the matchmaking in Blood Bowl 1. If you come on late at night, you'll play a Chaos team or another team with Claw. Basically, it's the Claw P-Bombers that are there all the time, and everybody else doing their best to avoid them. Most of the other matches are played in private leagues, so bit of a shame. That's not a fault of the Chaos coaches out there at all. That's more to do with the fact that the rule set that's implemented by Cyanide was never meant to be played in a perpetual matchmaking kind of scenario. So it's not quite the right model for the rule set that's in use. Right, so on screen we do have Andy. Let's focus on what we've got in front of us. The Blood Bowl 1 match from Tier 4. We did look at some Tier 4 matches last week. We've got the Undead team, the Lizardmen team are 1-0 up, and they've turned the Undead or the Necromantic team over again. Put yourself in the Necro coach's position now. What do you do to redeem this situation? You've not been paying attention, have you?
I've not. No. We've been talking, and I've been looking at different teams in different leagues. First of all, I'm going to have to take my head back out of my hands. Clearly, I mean. That's certainly something I'd have to do. I'd have to pick myself up and dust myself down. There would appear to be potentially a 2 dice block on the ball here.
That's a strength 4.
Depends on where the skink goes.
It's a strength 4. I'm not actually live. Let me just catch up. Are you live on this match, just out of interest?
No, I'm literally watching it through the stream, so I'm actually going to probably be looking at it behind, because the stream's got a delay on it.
Okay, guess what happened?
Yes. Well, surely the blitz is on the ball carrier here with the wolf that's strength 4, because the ball carrier doesn't have block, so knocking it down is quite likely.
What would be the worst place for the ball to land? And there you see it.
Oh, yes, there. I'd say probably there is pretty poor.
It's looking particularly good, this match. This is exactly what you want to see from St Cloud's team tonight, surely.
More red crosses, I think. More red crosses, but yes.
Wow. Brutal. You're trying to brutalise him. Oh, here we go. Errant Saint has just posted in Prem West. What's going on there? I won't hold my breath that the Premiership West match is going to go ahead tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but never mind. We will have some Premiership East action very shortly. So Alex Archer, obviously we watched his team get destroyed earlier in the season. Let's have a quick look at Alex's team right now and the state it's in.
Well,
he has had a big
this
win.
Won't take long. We'll have to look at both players this week.
Well, he did have a big win against Ugnash and the Brood.
Fix.
Why'd you say that? Why'd you say that?
Oh, a 7-6 win. Seriously, how contrived is that?
It wasn't 7-6, and you know it wasn't 7-6.
What was it? 5-4? It was something bollocks.
It
It really was. I mean, I'd have got the admins to look at it if one of the admins wasn't playing.
It was 4-3.
Ah, fix.
Are you insinuating nepotism here?
I know I'm going to withdraw. But I mean, it was in both of their interests to run up the score, wasn't it? Really. I mean, there was blitzes with rookie line rats versus loner elves just to make sure. It was.
Well, there's the team.
Well,
there is Liquid Venom, and they're 8 players. You weren't wrong. This won't take long. This is a Premiership team, ladies and gentlemen. They are a 500 team. They are 4 wins and 4 losses this season. Decidedly mid-table. And this, Andy, is what you're hoping to injure some lizards tonight. So, thinking about what Alex will have available to him, we have that on screen here. Let's put these in order. So St Cloud's TV is 2080. Alex Archer's, when you add on the 3 loners, which is another 210, it's going to be at 1700. What do you take with, what's that, 280 TV to play with? What do you take?
Oh, a wizard. Let me just get a calculator out. Actually, it's my Windows is dreadful. Right. So what was the TV difference again?
Well, Alex Archer's is currently 1490, but he's only got 8 players, so that's an extra 210, which takes him up to 1700. And then St Cloud's team value, subject to any late changes, is 2080.
So he's got 380 to play with.
Yeah.
Is that right?
380, yeah.
If it was me, I mean, because this is the thing, are you talking about what would I take or what will Alex take?
Well, both.
Because it can be your prediction.
Let's look at what you personally would take here and see, because you can't argue that Alex Archer, he's a pretty good Dark Elf coach, he's a pretty talented coach, but you and he do play your Dark Elf teams completely differently. So let's go with what you would take to start with.
Yeah. Okay. What would I take? Well, I'd take a wizard, and I think we'll both take a wizard in that, which leaves us 230 left to play with. We can pretty much rule out the 30 because it's irrelevant. So even though I got 200, on the 200, I'd be concerned I'm only running with 11 men, and so I probably would just take 2 loner line elves and take my squad up to 13. Other options would include 2 babes and a apoth to make the most out of the 11 you've got. Or the other option that I think Alex will take, and I think he'll take Googly. He'll take the Eldril Sidewinder.
Instead of, or as well as?
Well, Google is 200 and Wizard is a 150, so I think we'll see from him 350, and I think you'll see the Wizard and Googles. From me, you would see 2 spare players and the Wizard. So there's not a massive difference there, but I would go for making sure that in the second half I can score or do whatever I need to do, because I've still got probably 11 players.
So, what would you take again?
A Wizard and 2 Loners. And those Loners are 70 base plus 30.
Is your match tonight, young Nathan, as well? Good evening, by the way, to young Nathan. So RTSD goes with Wizards and Loners. Eldril is Eldril and Loners. Good evening, Farron. How are you, sir? It's good to have you here. And Andy, you'd go...
I'd go with RTSD here. He's gone Wizard and Loners. Yeah, that's me.
Whereas you think Alex Archer will go Wizard and Eldril and not have enough players for the second half.
Yep.
I don't know. He's trusting in his armour value 8. It's seen him right the rest of the season. Eldril all day for Devious Alpha. Okay, fair enough. Because you used to love playing elves, didn't you, Devious?
He was really good with them too. Didn't he win 2 games?
Wow. Wow, look at him. Shots fired here, Archbishop.
I'm just saying, well, that's when he plays the team himself. I mean...
RTSD is a master of being outmanned as well. He did get a win this week. Crench this week beat the Reading Renegades. By the way, the Reading Renegades Lupac's team on 9 points this season. They were on the cusp of greatness last season. They are sitting out next season whilst Lupac concentrates on Blood Bowl 2, which is a bit of a shame. Bit of a shame indeed.
I've got a question for RTSD. I want to say something first about RTSD. I massively respect and admire what he manages to do with that Norse team in the Premiership. I would love to see him do, finish in a top 2 slot. I really would. So I'm going to throw that out there as a compliment. You don't hear them very often, but there's a compliment.
No, say that again. Say that again. I want you to repeat that, because I actually wasn't listening. I was reading Devious's trolling in the chat stream there. I'm not sure it was Eldril that was the problem, Devious. It was the fact that when you beat me 7-1, I'll have it known, 7-1, it was the war dancer with strip ball that was the issue for me there, and my insistence on not giving the ball to a thrower with sure hand. But there you go. So Andy, back to the compliment that you threw out there. What was the compliment? Because, like I say, it wasn't listening terribly. So
I said that I was impressed with how RTSD manages to do something with very little most of the time, and I would love to see him in the top 2. I am a genuine fan of RTSD.
Well, I have to say, RTSD, I think you have done the right thing in the fact that your team is far more frightening to play against with fewer loners. I know I've battered it the last couple of seasons, but it's a less pleasant affair to play your team when you haven't got as many loners. Although targeting those Norse werewolves and that dreadful runner of yours is a particular favourite ploy of my own. But, there you go. Get a room. Nice. So, young Nathan, what time is your game tonight? Or is your game in the UKBBL, or is it in a different competition? I didn't think your game was on tonight. Oh, it is Monday 9 o'clock against Hon as well. Ooh, we've got the Hon versus young Nathan match this evening as well, from 9:30 onwards, or sooner it would seem, as young Nathan is actually here already. drop Hon a text. I'm sure he would appreciate starting earlier than 10:30 local time. Right. Let's see if we've got any of the top matches appearing now.
I was going to say the other person I quite enjoyed watching is young Nathan. Sadly
wow!
he played, and it was a fairly one-sided affair. Although I would say that I don't think young Nathan is my biggest fan. So the adulation that I'm going to hand out here is going to be somewhat limited.
You sicken me. You sicken me.
Me? What did I do now?
You're out. You're out for a fight, aren't you? Young Nathan's not home yet. He's watching the stream on the way home. How lovely.
Well, I hope he's not driving. He might not be getting home.
Right. We're going to be watching a little bit more from the lower tiers whilst we wait for one of the.
Maybe we should watch some lower tier action, because what we can do is you can critique their play, and we can go looking for what is the optimal situation, and then see whether they do it. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Well, here we go. I'm bringing up something that we don't see very often. It's the UKBBL's one and only Goblin team on display here.
Why?
Monty's Morons versus Calscarata's Scratch and Sniff. Scratch and Sniff have been round for a very, very long time, and they languish in Tier 4. But here we go. Star player on display. In fact, 2 star players. We have... no, we don't. I lied. It's just Ripper, and then the usual secret weapons. But here we go. A little bit of Goblin action from Monty's Morons. Highlight of their season was a well-earned draw against the Halflings, which did involve a quite blatant cheating play from the Goblins, where they actually had 12 players on the pitch for the whole game. This was raised by the Goblin coach Monty Lamont early in the game, and Felix Housecat's Halflings served a shit sandwich, acknowledged the Goblin's 12th man and asked him to be placed in the Enfield, and everyone was happy, and the game was going ever so well, and it was lovely, and it was all recognised by everyone. And then conveniently Lamont, the coach, managed to forget that he had 12 Goblins on the pitch, and brought that Goblin into play to prevent a late touchdown from the Halflings. And now allegedly the Goblin coach did then raise it to their league administrators as a pure and coincidental accident, for which he was very, very sorry, and felt that it didn't affect the game. To which the Halfling coach agreed it probably didn't affect the game. But then Lamont watched the replays, and then he posted again, actually, having reviewed it, it probably did affect the game quite a bit more than I first thought. And yet the admins accepted it, down there. Obviously corrupt officials down in the Tier 4 where Monty's Morons play. I think it's Drackwold Forest West, if I'm not sure. I think it's that very dodgy admin team of B Falcon and Bob and his yak. I hear the yak had a thorough back scrub and back crack and sack wax, and B Falcon had his gout-ridden ankles massaged by the Goblin masseuse to secure a 1-1 draw against the Halflings. They are languishing in 11th place in Drackwold Forest West, Monty's Magic. Calscarata's Skaven are mid-table of security, 1 place below the Halflings with a record of 3-3-2. Monty's Morons have managed to win 1 game this season and lost 5. The team that they're above is a Chaos team. Well, there you go. Chaos teams, they're rubbish, they are. I don't know why you'd play with one. So, optimal build, Andy, with a Skaven team. Starting TV1000, Skaven team, how would you build it?
Oh, blimey. I don't play Skaven particularly.
That's why I chose this game. If you're going to have an opinion, you're going to have an opinion on something that's unfamiliar.
Well, yeah, I do like having an opinion. Well, starting Skaven is four rerolls, 2 blitzers. I think you can get a thrower, a load of linemen, and 3 rerolls. And I'm actually sure you can pretty much get something else. I think you can get 12 players.
No
so
gutter
I wouldn't
runs.
start with the big guy. No, sorry, the 4 gutter runs. So all the positionals,
Right.
But only 1 thrower and no rat ogre with 3 rerolls.
So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
It might only be 11 players. I'm not entirely certain.
Okay. So looking at the line rats first, how do you build them?
You don't.
First
you
skill.
Score with the gutter runners. Oh, wrestle. All line rats get wrestle. Well, first skill is kick. Then everything else gets wrestle. If it gets to level 2, it gets fend. And if it gets to level 3, it probably gets tackle.
And if it rolls a double?
Guard.
Not horns?
Nope, guard. Because the blitzers on the team are the blitzers. Normally you build 1 as a stand firm guard piece and 1 as a horns mighty blow piece. They will eventually change over, and so they'll both have guard and they'll possibly both have stand firm. The first one that gets a double probably gets claw, so you've got a bit of a can opener, and then you can go claw, mighty blow, piling on, as that's very useful. But really the staple thing about Skaven is that you want to roll a movement increase and a gutter runner so you can cheat.
Cheat? Wow. Sticking it out early, are we? This is nothing to do with Ugnash, is it?
No. Every Skaven team that has ever done reasonably well in UKBBL, and I accept that maybe I'll get this one wrong, but every Skaven team that's done well always has a 1-turner. And I actually think Skaven could potentially be one of the most powerful teams in Blood Bowl, because they have the combination of 1-turn scoring and claw, mighty blow, piling on, which no other team has.
Interesting. So why haven't they done better in the UKBBL then?
Well, if it's not the team, there are only 2 constituent components to that. There's the team and the coach.
Wow, you're having another pop at Ugnash here. I was thinking more to do with Mystic John, perhaps. Or Phantus.
I don't know. I don't like Skaven. Phantus, unfortunately, I know it was a horrible decision on my part. Phantus asked me to play his OCC Skaven team once, and it was a disaster. I won't. Excuse me. It was a disaster. It was terrible. It wasn't interesting, and I regretted it immediately.
Don't do it. You don't need to score a 1-turner with Skaven against goblins. Oh God. Oh. I suppose it gets the secret weapons off the pitch, I suppose. Okay. So that's the line rats, fend, wrestle, and if you get to 3 skills, you've done very well with the line rat, and I think I tend to agree. I would throw in horns as an option to clear a hole. If you can get a horn line rat who can clear a hole for your 1-turn in Skaven, and virtually, as you've pointed out, every team has one. This Skaven team is no exception, as they've just proved. There he is, Penfold, gutter runner, a 1-turning gutter, a 1-turning Skaven. Obviously mid-table of tier 4 in the UKBBL. This one over here, he's got everything he needs on this team to be exceptional. He's got another movement 10 gutter runner there as well. How do Skaven teams do it? And then obviously you're looking for doubles on the Storm Vermin. Let's talk about the Storm Vermin ideal skill set. Do you build them both as killers? If you can?
Actually, the answer to that is yes, but that's not because you want to be blitzing with both of them, but it's because, like with a Chaos team, if you have one Beastman that's your killer Beastman in inverted commas, people will knock themselves out to try and get that, and you can't always guarantee, it doesn't matter how good a coach you are, you cannot put that player in the best place to blitz all of the time. So with the best will in the world, you're probably only going to be blitzing with it 10 times a match, maybe, something in that order. If you have two of them, it means you can keep them separated. People have got to focus down two players instead of one. You can get them to be, you can blitz with one of them all the time, and if one dies, you've still got one. I think so. For all of those reasons, I would run two. However, the blitzers are normally this sort of, one is the support player for the other one to then come in and punch something. So it would be you'd be looking at two very high skilled players if you ever got there.
Now we've already touched on your thoughts about big guys. What do I make of Antosh throwing a Mardy strop? I'm not going to talk about admin decisions on the stream, young Nathan. I'll happily have that discussion with you in PM, but here's not the place. But I do know which one you're talking about.
Can I mention anything, or is that?
I'm not. Go on then. You're dying to.
I wasn't aware first. I wasn't aware that Antosh had as young Nathan so eloquently put it, thrown a bit of a strop. I think that his point was possibly valid, but it's a tricky one. I mean, there's something similar happened in my game this week actually. So I was playing against someone who couldn't maintain a stable connection. Stewie and I agreed that if it fell over for the fourth time, I'd get the admin win. Ceramol then talked to me about it, and we talked about it at the end of the third game, and I said, 2-0 or the result in game to stand, whichever is actually better for Stewie, because he's the one losing out, so he can pick. The fourth game fell over. It went to question mark, which suggests that possibly it wasn't actually his fault, but I would say chances are it was. And so I said to Ceramol, well, I'll have an admin 2-0 please. Reasons being that in that game I had done quite a few casualties. I'd skilled up the piece that I specifically wanted to skill up. I'd already scored one, I was probably going to score a second, and got an interception. All was looking good. Surely only getting an admin 1-0 win is actually a punishment, because I'm getting way less star player points than I should have done. So yeah, there was that.
Okay, moving back to the game. Like I say, I'm not going to comment on admin decisions. It's not my place. I need to remain impartial. So we have. We've looked at the Gut Runners, we've looked at the Storm Vermin, the Rat Ogre. Thoughts on the Rat Ogre? Is Ugnash's team, going back to Ugnash, is he more effective with the Rat Ogre, or was he more effective without it?
No, it's not the Rat Ogre. Ugnash is more effective when he has a wizard. It's a given almost that Ugnash will score. He doesn't. I feel if I was Ugnash, I'd be wanting to score in 2 turns, not 1. I know it's all stylish and cool to score in 1 turn, but really you should be scoring without rolling many dice. That's what you should be doing. So if you can walk it in on 10 squares, I would be in the first turn looking to just stand inside your half, 2 or 3 squares, and then score on the second turn. And if I've got a wizard, he is a massive problem, because his gutter runners are so fast. If the ball gets loose and he's got a big hand one, it leaps in, it stills the ball, and it fucks off, and he scores. He's broke your serve and then you can't ever catch him up. That was when Ugnash was actually at his best, and when he was somewhere near the top of the division. He hasn't got a Rat Ogre and he hasn't got a Wizard, and that's where he's falling down right now.
So if he gets rid of the Rat Ogre, he gets his Wizard back. Makes sense. RTSD's made a very, very good point here. The Fanatic, the ball and chain chap, is in a bit of a tight spot. Let's not forget that as soon as a ball and chain chap falls over, he gets knocked out. He's next to a Strength 6 Rat Ogre with a friend or two. So we might well see a knocked out ball and chain very shortly.
Just a point on a ball and chain. There's a tactical thing here. It sounds obvious, and possibly people will go, oh yeah, but normally when you're playing against goblins, the final action of your turn, unless it's a critical turn, should be to block the ball and chain if you can, and under all circumstances you should then take the both down if that's what you're offered. If it's both down push, you should always take the both down because you get rid of it.
If you can negotiate your 2 dice block, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, 2 dice uphill's okay. If you've got block, you knock it down 25% of the time. I'd take those odds. If not, you just push it backwards, and it's got to roll 2 squares to get at you instead of just 1.
Okay, final positional to discuss on a Skaven team is the thrower. Thoughts on the thrower position?
Initially, before seeing Ugnash's team, I always thought that thrower was one of those almost required pieces, as it has the prerequisite extra sure hand. You can give it extra arms, and it becomes quite a good piece. And normally you want to build the gutter runners for cage breaking and stealing the ball. Ugnash does it in a different way. He makes one of the gutter runners a sort of safety, goes and collects the ball and hands it off. It works. I'm not sure if it's optimal, but it works.
Right, we're going to move over now to the Premiership East affair that's just started. It's in Turn 1, Andy, so if you want to bring that up. Here it is. I'm just going to catch up with the live show. I'll keep you updates from the other matches. We've been watching some of the Tier 4 action, but now we've got our feature match. This is Premiership East. We see Liquid Venom versus the Loads of Lizzies. Alex Archer's Dark Elves, Liquid Venom, and St Cloud's Loads of Lizzies. Loads of Lizzies are a playoff candidate and could be the team that knocks Andy himself out this season. So Andy, as we've already said, don't believe it. Andy's feeling very confident next week against Loads of Lizzies, as he feels Loads of Lizzies tend to run away from lots of claw teams. So of course a draw or better puts Lizzies ahead of Andy, and then all of the Lizzies needs to do against Andy next week is secure a draw. So I haven't caught up live just yet. Early exchanges are as expected. We've got
what was the inducements? We need to, just while it loads in, I'm just going to quickly see what the inducements were.
Yeah, you have a look, and I'm just catching up live.
It was, I saw a babe and I saw a wizard. So I would suggest that he's taken a spare player of some description. There's a curveball, maybe an assassin, maybe? I don't know, what's he actually...
Yes, there is an assassin. There is an assassin on the pitch. So there we go. There is a curveball there just for you, Andy. So you got it wrong.
Alex, as you said at the top, Alex and I play Dark Elves in a completely different way. He has a different mindset, which, interesting. It's not mine. It does work. It's different.
He's in a bit of a pickle here, though. This is not a good position that he finds himself in right now. What does Alex do here? Are you live yet, by the way, Andy?
I am on his turn 1.
Who hasn't won a game in months? Oh, Ugnash. No. Well, I think that's what we were driving at, young Nathan. Yeah. Yeah, the Dark Elves.
This calendar year.
Is that true? Have you actually got corroborated evidence of that?
I think it is true.
I can't believe this calendar year. No, it can't be, because he was re-promoted to Premiership East this year.
I think didn't he go up with an all-time record low points of 11 points? I think he did. I think you're making this up as you go along. This is slander. This is actually slander. Nah.
He's going to call in the lawyers. Oh, he obviously sat out season 22, so he didn't play that season. He was third in Prem East the season before this one, or season 21.
Well, good. Well done.
And he went up with 22 points. evil man.
Is that the season where they doubled the points for draws? I think that is, isn't it? That is the season where they double the points for draws. Disgraceful.
No, he doubled the points for draws. No. Oh
22,
dear.
11.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
We've got a double one. We've got a double one from Alex Archer. It's not looking good for the Dark Elves in these early exchanges, Andy. We might see a Witch Elf getting surfed very shortly as well. Is he going to commit to blitzing with that assassin every turn? It must be hard having two fairly rookie Witch Elves in the Premiership.
Yes, it is. I was fortunate. I never had two rookie Witch Elves. I think worst case I only had one.
Why do you suppose St Cloud didn't push that Witch Elf and try and surf her there? Doesn't really make sense to me.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure. I'm sure he's got his own reasons. But I am surprised. This is not looking good for the Dark Elves. But if we've learned anything here, and that is that we should never ever rule out Alex, because he will try the YOLO bullshit elf play, and occasionally it works.
This is the kind of point in the game that Alex is likely to use a wizard. To hell with using it defensively. I need to stay in this game.
Yep.
Last time Ugnash
well,
won a game. Oh, there you go, RTSD. The last time Ugnash won a game was June the 1st.
Oh, someone's already got him with that joke. 2009. Very good, young Nathan.
Outrageous. Come in here and slander.
He probably has the best team in Prem East. Wow. Let's play again. I'll take these slappers and we'll play against those lizard team you've got, whatever it's called.
Well, hang on. How did you get on against the Brood this season, Andy? Remind me. Andy? Yawning again?
How did I get on with the Brood? Oh, well, the Brood, it was the most interesting game I've played all season. I think it was 2-2, which is exactly the scoreline I called 16 turns before we got to the end.
So you're not one of the very fine coaches. You're not one of the very fine coaches who have been able to defeat Ugnash, no?
Oh, no, I'm not one of the two coaches. I'm not his son, so that gives you a natural advantage, or the luckiest fucker alive, GCBC. No, I'm not one of those two players. Nathan, I'm just going to scroll up to sort of halfway through this chat, because I never replied to you about you saying I asked you whether or not you thought I was any good, and he said, I can't argue with your record. It's harder to see talent in coaches who play the most OP teams. However, you did look handy with those goblins. And as I replied to that, yes, thank you very much. I did enjoy playing goblins in UKBBL. It was a privilege and an honour to be walking away as top of the division after 5 games. It was good. And it wasn't how I thought it was going to play out. I thought someone would smash me into the floor. And I suspect, had I played the following game, which was against Magfa, that would have happened.
Goblins, I think personally for me, in fact, I'm going to throw it open to the floor actually and the viewers this evening. What is the hardest race to play? Leaving that out there with the viewers. Andy, talk to us about your view on the hardest team to play effectively.
My least favourite team in the whole of Blood Bowl is Ogres. Definitely Ogres. Because they just have a complete bullshit luck factor. Sometimes they're fine, sometimes they're bollocks. And they're not Ogres in the old Living Rulebook 4 where you could field 11 of them, or you'd field them with goblins. They've got snotlings which are just basically useless. So no, Ogres are my absolute least team to play. I don't know, after that I very much dislike Skaven. I'd put those in the sort of top 3 or 4 teams I wouldn't want to play.
What?
But that's not because they're not effective, I just dislike them. I absolutely dislike Skaven.
So, okay, that's fair enough. For me, I actually really like playing goblins, but they drive me absolutely mental. They really do drive me round the bend. And the other team that I find it nigh on impossible to play with is vampires. I have the worst record, and hats off to all of those UKBBL coaches who are putting in effective performances with their vampire teams. Obviously the one that springs to mind is Evil Squall in Prem East, who did win against Sith Lords this very week, as predicted by Andy here. And so yeah, it's good to see. And then we've got coming up, I believe, this next season, from Altdorf West, Fantas and his Last Redemption look promising. I wouldn't say they've all but secured it now, but they are looking promising for promotion to Prem West as well. And then of course Itchinmasax, although they drive him potty, he's reasonably well placed as well. So the vampire teams in the UKBBL at the moment are doing fairly well, but for me, they drive me round the bend. And if you think the ogres have got a luck factor, well, the same would have to be said for the vampires and the bloodlust. Surely a team that burns through rerolls even more than the ogres.
Yeah, that's true. Fundamentally though, the vampires are actually a good team. Strength 4, Edge 4, even if you've only got a few of them, and they're a bit temperamental. They are
temperamental.
Good. I mean, anyone who
they've got the worst nega trait in the game, surely.
Yes, yeah, they have. It is awkward to play with.
Awkward,
but you can mitigate it with. Oh yeah, what are you asking me for here? Am I not trying to play it down? It is a shit nega trait. I'm just saying that you can play around it to a degree. Yeah, when the bloodlust rolls go mental, there's some games are just unwinnable. But that's the same if you're playing elves and you rolled that many ones. You're probably not going to do very well because you've rolled a boatload of ones. It happens. The vampires are good. I mean, anyone else, you take a chaos team, you get a strength 4 edge 4 piece, who's movement 6, everyone's raving about he's the best player on the team. You get an elf that's strength 4, oh, it's amazing.
Wizard. Oh, that's a bad
Well,
wizard. That's not good.
Did you know I posted something about wizard odds actually, and we were talking about the number of, if you hit a player with fire a wizard at 5 players, what are the odds of knocking down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on? Did you know he's rolled something in the order of about it's a 1 in 10 chance. I think it's 87% chance you'll knock down 3 or more players. The numbers are in a matchday thread. I'd have to go and look them up, but I was quite curious as to, people say actually you want to use a lightning bolt, but what are the chances of getting a good, in inverted commas, wizard off? And I think that they're higher than people give it credit for.
I think that's much down to my co-commissioner and his wizard rage, as we like to call it, from happy years that have gone past. Yeah, I can see what.
Oh, we have a dead one.
Oh, we've got one. Was he dead?
Wishful thinking.
Lizzie of Aragon. She's done. That's fortunate scatter. That is a fortunate scatter. So that's the wizard gone. That's 150 TV gone on an offensive drive, which is not great. And something that I often can't believe I'm going to say this because it's going to be bigging up Andy a little bit. Sometimes I do feel that Alex does try to rush his scores. I think Alex is actually naturally more comfortable on on defense, which I suppose is the right way to play elves. But he always tries to score quickly in all instances. So.
Yeah, that's true. I do prefer a more controlled score, but I do feel as I have it in me to score quickly if the situation requires it. I know some coaches who play Bash really don't actually like trying to score quickly and find it awkward and difficult. I think maybe from my Elven days I'm fairly at home trying to score quickly.
Yeah. May I welcome Sven Bex to the channel this evening. Good evening, sir. It's nice to have you here with us. If you want to follow the stream, just click on the buttons at the bottom of the page. You can actually follow, and then you'll get notifications of when we're streaming. We stream every Monday anyway, so you're more than welcome to join us without becoming a follower. We stream from 8:15 for an hour or two from the latest from the UKBBL, and as we get close to the end of the season, he's picked the ball up as well. Look at him, he's going for that doolally play here. Oh, we've got the diving tackle, and the diving tackle's kicked in there, and there she goes, down she goes.
What?
And now Asaurus has the ball. What an outrage.
That's not good. Oh, it's alright, that one can score, I don't care.
So yeah, as some of the other guys have been answering you here, what does Bloodlust do? Bloodlust is a nega trait. Every time you want to move a vampire, you have to roll a d6. On the roll of a 1, he succumbs to his nature, and he wants to bite something. And if he doesn't bite something, he plunges headfirst into the crowd. And if he does bite one of his players, then there's a chance that that player will end up injured. The worst you can get with it is badly hurt, but you do injure your own team. But this
the key point there, sorry Gav, is, and it is key, is that when you bite your own players, it's not an armour injury roll, it is a straight injury roll.
Yeah.
That is the problem. If it was an armour injury roll, maybe, but it's not.
Yeah. Which is fine, because the thralls just offer themselves up ready to get chewed on. That's why they're on the pitch at the end of the day. But that is the only way, because one of the things that Jervis Johnson, the creator of Blood Bowl, wanted to do when he was creating the vampire team was some way of negating the fact that they are the only Blood Bowl players that have strength 4 and agility 4 with access to both those tables, the strength and the agility tables. So some might say a little bit overpowered, hence the worst nega trait in the game. Otherwise you'd have 6, agility 4, strength 4. Everyone would play them, in short. And that nega trait seems to balance them just right. Perhaps we should do something similar for chaos. Chaos are balanced.
Oh, I think some of the coaches... No, I think some of the coaches that play them balance them just fine all they're on their own.
Of course, this next season, season 24 of the UKBBL, which is coming up on the horizon, just after Christmas, I'm expecting it to kick off, sees the first season that we have ever put racial capping into the UKBBL. So unless a number of Chaos teams do drop out, it's going to be tricky for people to re-roll to Chaos. Oh, and we've got a failed dodge there. Interesting. Obviously, I do know that, as we've talked about already, the Reading Renegades they're not re-rolling, they're sitting out this season, which does free up one Chaos position. But they're still oversubscribed at the moment, so it will make doing the divisional lists slightly different this season.
Maybe I'll have to re-roll myself then.
Quite right. You've already.
Not until I've won it. Not until I've won it.
Oh God, really? I remember when you re-rolled, when you got relegated from Prem West and you came along to the Easy East. Your plan was not to re-roll Davo's Dark Delights until you'd won both conferences from both sides. That never happened either, did it?
Mm-hmm.
So. No,
it didn't, and I am a little upset about that. But I think I'd done Dark Elves ultimately. I'd been playing them for 150 games, and they had peaks and troughs like most teams, but they just weren't. I just didn't enjoy the games, and ultimately that was the problem, and so I needed to do something else. And the lure of playing Chaos, which was the team I wanted to play at the very start of my league campaign, going back 5 years prior, it was that team. So the combination of the two just meant that I had to re-roll and I had to play something else.
Okay, well, there's two questions there from our viewers, Andy, which we'll deal with one by one. First of all, very quickly, I'm going to answer Ceremal's question, what the racial cap is this season. It's in the Code of Conduct, and it has been bumped recently in the threads, but I'm just going to bring it up. www.ukbbl.co.uk is where you can find the UKBBL website, for those of you that aren't members of the UKBBL. This season we do see introduction of racial capping for the first time, and the racial capping is set at 12.5% to start with, so no race can make up more than 12.5% of the UKBBL in its own right, which is around 12 teams. So there we go.
I would have liked to have seen the cap slightly tighter, maybe 10%. That would have been better. Really encourage some diversity.
It's not to say it's stuck. It may well get changed. But to start with, the cap is at 12.5%, and we're going to see how it goes. And then we've got. Yes, Ceremal, you are a big guy. You should have known. But we've got some elven nonsense, have we? Oh, he's failed the catch.
Yeah. I didn't need to catch it. In fact, it's now fallen not in a tackle zone.
Indeed.
Now, I have to admit, I wasn't watching that much, so I don't know whether the runner's moved. But if it hasn't, I expect the runner to be dodging out and throwing to one of the witch elves. He'll probably trot it in and score.
Andy, you do know that if they've got a white square underneath them, that they've taken their action this turn, and if they've got a circle.
I do, yeah. So I did say if. I was just bringing in the viewers. No, I didn't know that.
Sven Bex, in answer to your question, how do you decide who gets the 12.5%? From season 24, the teams that are currently in the league, we won't force them to re-roll, but we won't be accepting any new teams that want to take on that race. If there are any coaches who want to return to the league with a chaos team, they won't be able to do it if they exceed the racial cap. If two coaches declare that they want to re-roll for a race that pushes it over the cap, then we do what every good Blood Bowl league can do, and we let Nuffle decide, and then we just have a roll-off, and the winner gets to play that race, and then the person that doesn't get that race moves on to their second team. So we've advised all coaches that are declaring that they're re-rolling this season that if they want to re-roll either to Chaos or to Orcs, they need to nominate a second race if they can't have their chosen race, which spins a little bit of a difference on the way people are declaring this season. I suspect because of the racial capping, we're going to see a few more Nurgle teams. And we shall see what else comes along.
Great.
I knew you'd like that, but I figure that's a good thing, because what's the natural way to destroy Chaos teams? You get more Nurgle teams. Hey ho.
Bore them off the park.
Oh my god, you can't have it both ways. Nurgle are boring, or a Skaven boring, Andy. Decide. Orcs
I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think they can both be fucking dull. Let's not beat around the bush here.
Orcs aren't quite capped at the moment in the UKBBL. In fact, I can bring up the chart. Let me just bring it up, just so I've got the actual figures. So for season 23, where is the information? Where is the racial requirements? I can't find it right now. One of the other questions Sven Beck's actually asked while I'm looking up this data is, what are the top 5 races in Blood Bowl? He said that he's finally getting into the miniature games, and he was wondering what the better teams are. So go on, Andy. Top 5 races in Blood Bowl, and why?
What? Top 5 in what respect? Top 5 most played races, or top 5 most successful races? And in what format? UKBBL or the wider format at large?
The top 5 races for competition purposes. For UKBBL purposes, I would say, as this is a UKBBL stream.
Oh dear. Oh dear, it's dead.
What's dead?
It's dead. Sorry Dave, it's dead. We have a fractured skull on the runner, so one of Alex's 3 best players is dead.
Oh dear. Has he used his APOF?
It's only... No, he's just let it die. The other 2 are going to be overjoyed, to be honest. That means they've got a 50-50 chance of getting an ape off this game.
He won't cut it. Alex will not cut that.
He won't. You can't play with an armor 6 runner. You can't.
It's just a rookie.
You just can't.
You're making it sound like it's a really good piece.
Yeah. It's not got the word loner in its skill set.
He's got 8 players, Andy. God, you're an over drama. Right, so the current racial capping at the moment. In fact, Chaos are currently sitting in the UKBBL at 14.17% of the total. Chaos make up 14.17% of the total number of races in the league. Orcs are 11.67, and then no one else is close. Nurgle are on 11 total number of races, which is only at 9.17%, and Necro is our 4th most populous race at 8.33%. 10 teams within the UKBBL are Necro, popular race at the moment. And then you've got Dark Elves as the most popular elf team, and Lizards. They're both at 5.83% currently. So that's it. The least popular races are Ogres, Halflings and Goblins. We've got 1 each of those. And then, maybe surprisingly, but perhaps not so surprising in a long-term perpetual league, Amazons. There is only 1 Amazon team as well in the UKBBL.
See, that's a surprise. That is a surprise, because I would play Amazons in a long-term perpetual league. I think they're quite interesting.
Go on then.
The UKBBL explicitly banned me from playing more than one race. I have time and time again said that if I could play a second race, I wouldn't pick one of the OP races. I would play something unusual. That's why I played Goblins in Tier 5, and we are calling it Tier 5.
Yay!
Yeah, I would. I'd play something uncompetitive.
Right. So going back to top five races in the UKBBL format, I suppose you'd have to look at who's won the UKBBL. I can just bring that up on your screens right now, ladies and gentlemen. We have that technology. These are the champions, so you can actually get an idea of who does very well. So this is going to cycle through. So Nurgle have won it 3 times. Chaos have won it on at least 2 occasions. We're going back a long way now. There's the Lizard Man team that won it back in Season 2, but the early seasons we didn't have all the races implemented. Season 4, Wood Elves, that's the only time that they've won it. Humans won it in Season 5, as you can see on screen. Undead have won it twice. They've won it in Season 7 and then a couple seasons later. There's Andy's team. His Dark Elves won it 4 occasions. He's not the only Dark Elf coach to have won it. Marvin were the first Nurgle team to win it. There's the other Undead team, Anton's. Harry won it twice with Chaos. So Chaos have won it a few times. Chaos Dwarf have won it on 3 occasions, or is it 2 occasions? There's Ichimasak's Dark Elves. So we've got Chaos have won it a few times. Dark Elves have won it at least 5 times. Nurgle have won it 3 times. Chaos Dwarves have won it twice. So I guess that probably answers your questions about in the UKBBL. Let me just flick that off now.
You asked about whether what teams are most successful in a longer. Oh, we've got another little red cross, and it's not. Oh dear.
That's a loner.
That's alright. It's a 50-50 chance it'll be a loner. Let's have a look. Oh, it's a loner. Of course it is.
Oh, you're a knob. You really are. Gary Lineker wouldn't say that to his guests, would he?
He wouldn't, no.
It's a good mix of champs. Like I say, the first few seasons we didn't have all those. I mean, since the Chaos Edition came out, Chaos Dwarves have won it a couple of times, and I don't know, maybe the emergence of the Chaos Dwarf teams scared off a lot of the elves, but the Chaos Dwarf teams in the UKBBL have disappeared. There's only 3 left now, but that did seem to scare off some of the elf teams, and the other Chaos teams have made the most of that. The Gorgoth Boilermakers particularly were pretty special, coached by Waldorf, one of the former commissioners of the UKBBL, and the current reigning champions, the mighty Muffin Rangers, coached by Hon, are also pretty special.
It is actually true that Waldorf, didn't he use that special dice that commissioners get given for level ups? I know Cyrus used to have it with his multitude of strength 4 edge 5 players that he had, and I know
reroll.
Waldorf had it with 4 million. Oh dear, red cross.
Oh, this is apothecary time. It's broken jaw.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, he's out for the next game as well.
Well, I know it didn't actually happen. It didn't affect the injury here, but if you're going to play with places with niggles.
Has he got a niggle? Oh, he does have a niggle. No, it didn't really matter, did it, though?
Yeah. No, I suppose when you can roll bullshit 11-12s, then no, it doesn't matter massively.
Sven Bex, it's absolute
But
pleasure to have you throw in questions at us. We'll do our best to answer them as they come up whilst watching the game in front of us. Obviously, things aren't going terribly well for Liquid Venom at the moment. I am gonna start loading up. By the way, in that earlier match, it seems to have frozen, so I'm going to just close that one down now. Abandon that. I'm going to just launch up Young Nathan's game at the same time, so we can actually have live updates from Premiership West and Premiership East. Obviously the one that you're watching now. He's starting against the mighty Hon, and Hon's team is a team that needs no introductions, and Young Nathan has taken some babes and a wizard, which is his 200 TV difference, which is what he had, leaving him 30 left over. So that's what Young Nathan's taken. Here we are, we're playing on the, as you can see it, live on your screens. Let me just bring it up. Here we go. There we go. There we go. We're playing at the Norse pitch. They've cleared the pitch of the snow. So there is the Hon Young Nathan, which I will give you updates from. But we'll go back to the Prem East match, which is the one that Andy's really super interested in now. There we go.
it is. Again, you never rule Alex out, but I'm going to be massively surprised if you can get, if you can get a draw out of this. I will be surprised now. I don't think he'll get a draw.
How's he going to get the ball right now, really? He's going to have to pick it up in two tackle zones and go for a passing play here, surely.
Yep.
Just but who does he pick the ball up with? Really, I suppose this witch elf is the smart option. But he's running out of rerolls here, and he needs to get someone in the end zone as well. I mean, he's done well. I mean, he's had to use his wizard. Oh, there we go. Failed dodge anyway. Double one. Another double one. The curse of the elf. Down, and there goes the assassin. It's looking dreadful. Is it gonna? It is gonna be 0-0 at the half. Is it? Or maybe not. This skink. He hasn't really got anyone in scoring position, has he? And at 0-0, like you say, Alex Archer does have a chance, but I don't think you're gonna be seeing any of those lizardmen pieces missing, Andy, next week. I'm just sticking it out there.
Yeah, indeed, I agree. I think I'm going to have to be beating loads of Lizzies now, because I think I as much as I want it to be the case, I suspect Alex is going to lose here. No wizard in the hand. His best blitz is gone.
Another one knocked out.
You've got to fear the worst.
Yeah. I think the smart thing here. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's got sidestep, doesn't he? So, is he going to try and get a player in scoring position? Does he make the most of this? I think he probably does. You know. I think it's pretty dangerous, though.
Yeah, the Lizards score here. I think this could be curtains. Oh dear.
Oh dear. Oh, I think that's game, because that's his best player. And he's missing next week as well. I think we could. Is Alex
relegate him? This could relegate him.
Do you think Alex Archer will re-roll with the state of this team now? It's hard. It is hard.
Well, let's just remember that the injuries he's got. He's only picked up one serious injury, which is on a 80 grand player, which I think is a sackable offence. The rest are just MNGs. Okay. However, as I was talking to Stewie and Coach Stu DDJ of the Wood Elves, it is exceptionally difficult to build a team in the top two tiers of UKBBL. If you want to build a team, you need to take them back down to tier 4, and start there. Well, if you're going to take them down, you may as well start again, unless you're specifically bothered about their history and heritage.
Sven Bex has asked, so why are Skaven boring? Well, I don't think they are in the right hands. I think Andy's opinions of Skaven have been muddied somewhat by the play style of one of the Premiership coaches, Ugnash, who Andy does struggle to beat on regular occurrences, and it's of much mirth to the rest of the league that Andy does struggle to beat them. And Ugnash, he's developed his team so it is I guess one would say the optimal offensive Skaven unit. The problem with that is Skaven tend to win the game by winning on defence, and Ugnash's version of defence is to if he can't get an effective defensive play off within a turn or two, he tends to just run away, leaving you to grind up the field and try to hunt down his gutter runners, which does tend to leave for very, very frequently very, very frequently similar games where you score on turn one, then you've got 8 turns of the other team hunting down gutter runners, and then the second half is 8 turns of the opposition team hunting down gutter runners, and then the Skaven score on turn 16 to draw it 2-2, which is pretty much what happened in your game, wasn't it, Andy, this year against Ugnash? But I do see the point.
The one turn I just find frustrating. They are annoying because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what you do. They score before you've moved, and unless you've taken lots of things like weird skills. GCBC rolled yet another double one. I think that's the third double one from failed dodges, and it doesn't matter what you do. Yes, he will always score past you. You need lots of stand firm, and you need lots of disturbing presence. I was going to go for lots of stand firm. Unfortunately, players keep dying.
The teams that have beaten Ugnash this season is the Dark Elf team that's been destroyed here this evening, and they managed to do it with the use of a wizard, I believe, or a well-timed blitz.
Yeah.
And
he got blitz. That's how he broke it. He broke him. Yeah. Blitz.
And then Jacob Beef beat him last night when his one turner actually failed to go for it into the end zone, rolled a double one, and that was that game. And that game finished 2-1 with a one turner on turn 16. So I totally agree. RTSD Morbid Initiation haven't been always in tier 1. They have been relegated, and they are one of the only team. In fact, are they the only team to have won Premiership West and Premiership East? Quite possibly.
They are at the moment. Yes, they're not. He's not the only coach, but I think it is the only team.
Yeah, they are at the moment. Well, who else is going to do that, Andy? The only team that could do it at the moment is perhaps the Brood, which I think hasn't Anton actually won it on your west side, and he's currently in tier 2 of the east, so yeah, but he's going down.
It wouldn't be. No, he's not. He's going to get promoted this season.
Is he? Has he made a bit of a turnaround?
Yep. Well, the third place team in tier 2 down to the top of the relegation slots is only 3 points. So you could be, depending on which way you're looking, you could be thinking I might get relegated, and you might be thinking I might get promoted.
But you don't want Anton to come up. You want Jimbo to come up to the Prem, don't you? With Beyond Bearman, you want a nice easy Norse team to smash around, don't you?
I'd like to play Jimbo because I think he'd be entertaining. Jimbo would be entertaining.
I don't think I could face listening to him cry on WhatsApp that evening. But,
it'd be great.
Sven Bex was actually planning on playing Skaven as his first team. They're a niche well, they're not really a niche team. They are a mainstream team. They are unique in that they are fast. You can't knock it. If there's one thing that Skaven bring to the game, it's lots of movement. So, good luck. it's not a team that Andy or I are particularly good with. In the UKBBL at the moment, we have 5 Skaven teams, split amongst several divisions. I wonder if I can find out which divisions they're in as well. I can. We've got 1 in Premiership, then we've got 2 in Tier 3, we've got 1 in Barron Hills West and 1 in Colsa Hills East, that's Tier 3, and then we've got a couple in Tier 4, 1 in Alturn Forest East and 1 in Dratwall Forest West. So, right, so this is looking bad. 7 Dark Elves against a fully fit, mobilised Lizardman team, 1-0 down, and they're kicking the ball away, and they've got no wizard. Well, the Lizards only have 10 players. It's interesting. I didn't realise he was only playing with a 12-man roster. But both teams now have a bribe, so maybe, Andy, just maybe, your dreams could come true, and you might see someone hurt. Right. So, and young Nathan has lost a Saurus already. To badly hurt in the Prem West match. It's turn 2. Hon has the ball, and he's already managed to get halfway into young Nathan's half, and he is just quietly backing away at the moment, and Hon's going to take his 1 blitz a turn, as can be expected, and try his best to make a mess of these. Hon is making a concerted effort to skill up his worst Pestigore at the moment. He's 1 point away from skilling up. This is his ball carrier piece, but block sure hands he has so far. So it's not looking so bad for young Nathan at the moment.
I'm still looking at the
one on the screen.
The game which I'm going to call as done. Yeah.
A bit of a shame, but this is the problem when your team gets mashed early in a season, and it's difficult for the rest of the season. Oh dear. You'd love this game at the moment, Andy. We've just had the Beast and Nurgle go stupid, followed by the Croxagore going boneheaded. This is an incredible croc. Oh, we've got a dead Saurus. Block, break, tackle.
No, that's not good.
Vera Duckworth is what he's thinking about what to do here. And he hasn't decided yet. He hasn't decided, and he's still not decided. He's apothecaried. No, he took the death. No apothecary. Nurgle's rot has been contracted. And that was Babal Tubercle. He's already a maxed out Nurgle warrior anyway. So that's a Saurus, a dead Saurus, unfortunately. So that was a block, break, tackle Saurus that died. This is not nice for Lizardman team, is it really? This is about as bad as it gets. And the horror of horrors is the Beast and Nurgle now has Skinks pinned, which is horrific. So back to the feature match. So Andy, if you do successfully get yourself into the playoffs by hook or by crook, it looks at the moment like you'll be playing Hon. What will be your strategy to beat him? The other match that I was watching, RTSD, I'm picking up the Hon versus Young Nathan affair. So you've got the live stream in front of us now. I can actually flick between the two. Oh, there we go. There is the Young Nathan match that you're seeing in front of you. There's the dead Saurus at the top there. Nothing has happened to the Nurgle team yet. It's not pretty. So those are the two games that we're watching at the moment.
I'm not sure I can answer that because you're talking about a hypothetical game that may or may not happen.
Well, no, hang on. Wait. Let me just stop you there. All night long, you've been telling us about how confident you are of being able to break into the top two and qualify for the playoffs this season. So I'm just taking you on that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win the league. I think that's been established.
Maybe.
Okay. So the chances are Hon is going to win. Hon is going to win Prem West. You're going to be second in Prem East. You will have to play Hon. Now, I'm gonna choke on my own words here, but I'm not gonna lie. I would love it. I would love to see you do a number on Hon's team. But equally at the same time, I'd love him to do the same to your team. It's good for the league if you two destroy each other's teams. No doubts about it.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not.
It is.
It's not good for the league. It's not. It just irritate the life out of me for a good season and a half. Well, if you look at it, Hans played 2 Chaos teams in 2 finals 2 years running. I think he played myself and he beat me, and he played Zunk the season before. We both went in with basically the same strategy. I know this because I talked to Zunk about his strategy beforehand, and we settled on something, and we talked about my strategy, and I settled on something previously. So the strategy was the same. We went in with broadly the same idea. It worked out for Zonk and it didn't work out for me. I felt in that final that the casualty dice were mean, really stingy in the first half, and I didn't get very much. And then when he hit me in the second half, my armour crumpled, just absolutely exploded. And that's what won that game. Whereas when he played Zonk, it didn't happen like that. So, yeah. But it's always going to be that case. It's 2 massive bash teams hitting one another. If one of them crucifies the other, that team's the one that's going to win.
It is hard. When I mean, it happened to me when I played Hon a couple of weeks ago. Things were looking so cosy. Everything was looking great, and then the casualty spiral, and that was. I was in a fairly good position at the end of the first half, reasonably. And then it just literally, we had a cataclysmic set of dice at the start of the second half, which meant I was playing uphill after that. It's horrible, I'm very frustrating as well. I've lost to Hon 2-1, 2-1, 3-2 the last 3 seasons. It drives me absolutely nuts every season because I know I can beat him. Damn it! Damn it! Right, I actually have young Nathan next week. Bizarrely enough.
That'll be a dead rubber, as Nathan and yourself have said.
Okay, nothing much else has happened in the Hon match. He's just securing. He's stalling out, basically, for the end of the first half. Not sure why, I guess, because young Nathan does have the 1 turn option, doesn't he? He does, doesn't he? He's got Monfils, the ridiculously talented skink, but it's not quite as easy with all that disturbing presence. No, it's not as effective, is it?
No.
But, oh blimey, the Croxagore, the very talented Croxagore, the strength 6 block guard tackle piece, is knocked out as well now. It's not going terribly well for young Nathan. Let's not forget that this Alex Archer versus St Cloud match is still actually 0-0.
Yeah, but it's going to end 1-0, isn't it? St Cloud's going to be dull and grind down the field and score in 16.
Sorry, Andy. Can I ask you which teams aren't dull? Because
Elves are great. Elves are great.
I would suggest,
I love elves.
I would suggest that, with the exception of perhaps dwarfs, I think all races can be interesting in the hands of the right coach.
Oh, I know. I think Chaos look good.
I agree. Chaos you could do so much with. I mean, the beauty of having all those mutation axes is you could, if you really, really wanted to, and it wouldn't be optimal, but you could develop all the ball handling abilities that you would ever want with your Chaos team. If you wanted to take your beastmen and give them extra arms and a couple of heads, you could turn them into those talented receivers that they always wanted to be. You could do that. So chaos absolutely, with the mutations you can develop them anyway, but a lot of races you can do that with. Humans, you can build them as killers. They won't be so effective as some of the other killer teams, but you know, Charlie Banks does tend to build his team to kill things and has no other plan. The more successful human teams look at what they're playing next week, so then they kind of split their team and they take some killer pieces, but they also then take some pieces that can score quickly. San, who's doing very, very well this season actually, San obviously is the media officer for the NAF, is currently sitting very happy at the top of Colsa Hills East. He's lost his first match of the season this week just gone, and he actually lost to Skaven as well, who are sitting second place in that division. He lost to Zoroaster's Westminster Rodents. And the media moguls this season, I think one of the key things that is going really well for San is the fact that he has taken 4 catchers or blitzers in his 14-man roster. Not a lot of people take the catchers. San's going with the full-on catcher, and it's going very well for him at the moment. It gives him the best of both worlds.
It's a lot of mobility, certainly.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, humans you can build in a variety of ways. The only team that I think is truly dull. I think I probably would agree with you on lizards. I think there's only one way to play lizards. The Saurus have to do what they do, and the Skinks have to do what they do.
Do you know what though? There's a style which we've not seen anyone do yet. I've wanted to do it but can't, and that is I'd love to see someone take a team probably that have to start with blocks, so probably dwarves, maybe orcs, and that is go block, guard, stand firm and grab across nearly everyone with a couple of frenzy and juggernaut pieces. I think that'd be a truly fantastic team. It'd be interesting because no one's done it before. People harp on about passing dwarves or whatever. Someone needs to build that. It's not very expensive because you can get there in 31 star player points for most players, and I would love to see that. I think it'd be really interesting.
I think what makes dwarf teams most interesting is when they get some useful stat upgrades on the right pieces, and it has to be the right pieces. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever see a dwarf team challenging at the top of the UKBBL in the way that we've seen Chaos Dwarves dominate. RTSD.
I think with that roster, that would work. You could do it in Norse, in fact. I think. Although the linemen haven't got strength access, so it'd be more tricky.
I don't know.
You could do it with a corn team.
What, with their linemen with passing access? You mean?
No, because you've got the 4 pieces. The demons have got strength access, so you can put grab on those. So you could have 4 grab pieces, and you'd have lots of guard and quite a bit of stand firm. I think you've got 7 players with strength access, so you could have 7 stand firm guard pieces with 4 grab, and everyone's got frenzy. It's not quite the same skill mix, but it would work. But seriously, someone needs to come along with dwarves and try that. that would be really powerful and unique, and I would love to do it, and I'm going to try and do it over in Iron Phoenix, but my team's got quite a long way to go yet.
Yeah, I mean, you have to commit to it from the start, and when you go for suboptimal builds, the first couple of seasons that you have building that way, you're gonna face some pain, I think, is probably without putting too fine a point. It's exactly what I mean. When I first started off with my my final passing orcs strategy, first season in tier 4 was absolutely dreadful, but that was because the build, I knew that I had to start skilling up goblins and the troll as soon as I possibly could, so I started with the troll, and knew that I'd be building towards a 15-man roster, so I committed to only having 2 Black Orcs on the roster, because the way that I normally play is with only 2 Black Orcs on the pitch at any one time, although that's changed of late not due to the fact that I want to have more than 2 Black Orcs on the pitch, but because so many bloody players keep being injured, so the 3rd Black Orc being on the pitch is the best option. So
now, here's a question for you then. If a lineman on your team got strength increase, would you take it?
oh yeah, absolutely, in a heartbeat.
So if a Black Orc rolled a move increase, would you take it?
Yes, and I have done. He didn't last very long.
So the stat lines would be basically the same, other than a slight agility change.
Yeah, the agility is the key
Basically
thing.
the same
Though.
cost.
The agility cost is the most important part though of that, because I do score with my line orcs, because whilst in the main the line orcs are filling in for Black Orcs, they also aren't that far away from a blitzer stat line either. So if you're lucky enough to roll a movement increase on a line orc, then you've got a 5th blitzer in effect. He just doesn't have the strength access, but he can still take block and tackle, and he can score as effectively as any of the other blitzers, and that's the key thing. So in the main, my line orcs do generally fill in as crap Black Orcs, but if I get lucky on the rolls, then I have ready-made blitzers, and they do fill in for blitzers. At the moment, my line orc core is pretty ropey, seeing as they're all rookies. It's been brutal this season for my line orc brigade, and the normal build